one of my biggest philosophies is taking rapid, imperfect action, or done is better than perfect.
Hi, and welcome to the Your Story Studios podcast, a podcast where we talk about all things content creation. And today on the show, I'm joined by someone who needs absolutely no introduction.
I think I do.
Well, for people that may not know who you are you and what are you doing here?
Yeah, Grant Jamison is my name and I run Lift Video Production. We specialize in video content for the transport and logistics industry.
Well, Grant, tell me, how did you get into the video production industry?
Wow, that is a loaded question. So let's flash back 15 years. Got a job at an agency doing coffees, whatever it was, you name it, like scanning old photos and like archiving things. I just moved my way up through that agency. Got made redundant in 2016. And then here we are nearly 10 years later running a small agency, 4 people, with a really healthy roster of clients, the majority in the transport space.
Why the transport space?
There's a couple of reasons, and I don't want to go on too many tangents, but the transport space stuck out to me because I saw a number of problems. And I think the biggest thing that we can do as videographers, video professionals, is create content that delivers on outcomes or solves problems. So in the transport space, there's a real need for quality marketing content. A lot of these businesses really struggle to explain what they do, show how they do it, tell their story. And they also have like problems like finding truck drivers and finding warehouse staff, training and safety content. So suddenly, we looked in the transport space. We had one major customer already there. And I sort of looked at it and went, do you know what? There's actually quite a lot of things we can do to solve problems in this space. And that's what your customers are paying for. They're not paying for a pretty video. They're paying for you to solve their problems.
Yeah, so you had already one client in that space. What other types of clients were you working with at that time?
So, funny story. My first customer was an indoor children's playground center. So fun, but not particularly profitable. My second customer was one of Australia's largest logistics companies. And that came through a referral. So that was a real win. So I very quickly said, see you later to the children's playground center and started to focus purely on the transport stuff. And I found once I had this customer, it opened doors to others as well. So sort of like, hey, I've been doing a lot of work in this space already. Is there something potentially we could help you with? And from there, you just kind of grow. And the transport space is very blokey, handshake. Oh, so-and-so, you must be a good dude. Yeah, let's get you in kind of a vibe. So we kind of just expanded from there.
Yeah, great. So before you started going that way, what were you doing as the job? Were you a camera operator, an editor? Were you wearing all the hats, or were you like a creative director from day one?
No. So yeah, videographer first, absolutely. And then probably a videographer for like 3 years, I reckon. And then I hired my first editor in 2022. I say editor, videographer really. He shoots and edits. So he took over that because I think, and there's a bit of differentiation here, but fundamentally, if you're a videographer trying to grow a video business, then you have to get off the tools. There's no question about it. And I hate to break it to you, you just can't be doing it all. But that said, if you just want to shoot and edit videos, like that's so fine too. You don't have to build a business. You could go get a 9-to-5 job. You can freelance as a videographer, which again, is a trickier, it's sort of a weird line because you've got building a video business. Oh, I just want to freelance by myself, which is so fine. But I think you still need to be marketing and focus on sales as well, even if you're just a freelance videographer.
Yeah. And is there a specific reason why you didn't choose to go get that 9-to-5 from another employer and you ended up going out and starting your own company?
Don't like people telling me what to do, Nathan. That's really what it comes down to. No.
No, I can resonate with that.
Yeah. No, I think I've always just been excited by the idea of entrepreneurship, running a business, having it all up to me for better or worse. And in terms of income, I felt like there's more potential and more risk if I go on my own.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to me about a typical day in the life for Grant today.
Usually an early start. So I like to start maybe around 6, and that's when I do all my deep focus. So that's things like writing a lot of LinkedIn content, planning the next, like our next phase of marketing, coming up with new offers or ideas that we can start pushing to different customers. And then from 9 to 5, I feel like I'm just like putting out fires, responding to requests, helping the guys like in their edits and just like reviewing what they're working on, helping customers, taking sales calls. I still do go on shoots and run interviews and things like that as well. So depending on what's happening, that's probably the next like phase for us, is getting someone in to help conduct, custom interviews and maybe direct and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So when you were transitioning from being that videographer, editor, and then making that first hire, how did you know to make that first hire?
It was a bit of a gamble, to be honest with you. Like I had one major customer, Tupperware, and we were doing like monthly content for them. And I was like, cool, we're building on that. I've got like a really secure thing. I'm going to hire someone to help take that work off me. And as soon as I hired a jock, that customer stopped working with us, like literally same week. So it's a bit of a gamble, but I think it's an important risk you have to take if you're trying to build a business, because what happens is essentially now you've got someone who can take all the editing and shooting time away from you, and you can just reuse that time to then focus on marketing and sales. Fundamentally, what you need to make sure you're doing though with that time is using it to outreach, to create marketing content, to call people, to email people, follow up with, old customers you haven't heard from. If you hire someone and then you just kind of like, relax or whatever, then yeah, of course it's going to fail. But if you use that time wisely, then it should work out.
You mentioned you were doing monthly content for Tupperware. That sounds like a retainer. Do you have any thoughts on retainers?
It does sound like a retainer. I believe that retainers aren't necessary. If you do good work, they'll keep coming back. I also believe that retainers end up being kind of a compromise for you and a compromise for the customer. And what I think a lot of videographers pushing retainers might not realize is sometimes if you offer them 5 videos a month or whatever for a cost, that's like another problem for them. They've got to like go, oh, what 5 videos do I want to do this month? It's kind of a pain. So what we're currently implementing at the moment is a transport content service agreement. And essentially what that is, it's a set amount of content delivered over a 12-month period, and they pay in monthly installments. And essentially it's us going to a transport business saying, hey, we've identified the types of content you're going to need for different aspects of your marketing, your recruitment, your onboarding, and your safety. Here's what it looks like. Here's what you get. You actually don't have to do a thing. We've done all the thinking for you. We do all the planning. We go out to a truck depot. We talk to your site manager. And we're like, hey, we need a truck for a few hours. We do everything. And I think that is much better value proposition for a customer than just a retainer that's like, you get 5 videos a month. Just tell us what you want.
You also mentioned before that when you decided you needed to make that first hire, the editor, the videographer, it was a gamble. How did you find that person?
Yes, have a great hiring process that I stole from Caleb at Hebron Films. So shout out to him. Not stealing, he was happy to share. So essentially what I did was I created just an ad on Seek and LinkedIn. And in the ad, I said, to apply, please make sure you include a 60-second video introducing yourself. Doesn't have to be fancy. Like I didn't really care if they didn't have gear or whatever. I could just be on their phone. But I figured they're a videographer. They should be able to take a little video of themselves and send it in. So out of 200 applicants, I think only about 10 did that.
It's crazy.
I was like, cool. That's like my final list, 10.
Yes.
And so from there, we just had interviews, second, third round. And then, yeah, we landed on Jock, who's 3 years later, still going strong.
Great. So as someone that's trying to hire people and then you get 200 applicants and then 190 of them or 95% of them don't even understand that they need to send through a video, what are your thoughts on that?
That just says to me there's no attention to detail and they're just probably hitting like apply to anything that comes through. So it's a really good way to filter through the noise. And like I had a lot of applicants from overseas and stuff who didn't even read that it was like it's not a remote working position. It's in the office or going out on shoots, right?
I think, yeah, attention to detail is probably one of the top things that someone that's hiring is looking for. And then when people can't even follow that, yeah, it's an automatic red flag and deal breaker.
100%.
Yeah. You mentioned before that you do a lot of LinkedIn posts. Why?
Love LinkedIn.
Yeah.
what a LinkedIn nerd I am. Let's get into LinkedIn. But LinkedIn has been the biggest driver of growth for our business. And I think a lot of people maybe misunderstand what LinkedIn is. It's not a professional resume site. It's essentially
It used to be.
It used to be, yeah.
But things have changed.
Things have changed. It's a B2B networking professional platform. And what better opportunity for you to grow your business than a free platform that you can share your content, your ideas, how you help your customers, and have other businesses already in a business state of mind, unlike Facebook, where they can see that, resonate, and just reach out to you. So what I find really interesting is that videographers will spend a lot of time on Instagram making things look pretty, and they do get a lot of like engagement from other videographers, right? But what you really want is maybe less engagement on a platform like LinkedIn, but genuinely getting people to go, hey, I saw you do this. We actually really need some help with that. And they reach out to you. So I think it's thinking about where your target market is. I know for some people like real estate, maybe that is Instagram, and that's so fine. But for us, it is LinkedIn. It's marketing and communications teams in the transport space, and they're all over LinkedIn.
And do you have any great tips for our audience on how to actually utilize LinkedIn to its potential?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. So you really need to stay consistent. I see a lot of videographers, they go really hard and they post like 5 times a week, and then they get burnt out and they don't post anything for months. I would say, maybe controversially, B+ quality, A+ consistency will work better than just like A+ quality and you just like post once a week. Or,
Yeah.
sorry, not once a week, but like, a couple of times a week, and then like never post for like 6 months.
So we've got consistency now. What are we consistently posting? Are we posting just behind the scene photos? Are we posting photos of our dog or our cat or whatever? What kind of content should we be posting to LinkedIn to actually get engagement and hopefully get some work out of it as well?
So you should have a target market, right? And this does come back to niching. I know some people are kind of scared of that and whatever, but you need a target market. And fundamentally, that's all niching is. So once you've defined the people that you're speaking to, for me, it's people in the transport space, suddenly you find a whole bunch of pain points, right? They're struggling to find truck drivers. People don't always understand what other parts of the business are doing. People don't understand what they do. Like there's suddenly you find all these different pain points specific to that industry, and you can start to create content around how you help that industry. So a good example might be like, one of our customers doubled the amount of applicants when using video in 2024 compared to 2023 when they didn't use video. And I did like a little case study on that. And that led to a couple of messages of people reaching out. Then we also do some like more funny but business content. So we did one that's like undercover boss at Lift Video Production. And I dressed up as like a barista, and it was sort of a mock of like, it's still like business, like, undercover boss and that kind of thing, but it's having a bit of fun with it. And that went down really well. The other thing I do is sort of like founder personal story posts. So I might be like, I started with video production 1,651 days ago. Here's some of the things I've learned about the journey along the way. People really resonate with that kind of content. I post like 3 times a week, every week for like 3 years, but I can't think of what I've posted right now.
That's all right. So why 3 times a week?
For me, that's the sweet spot, 3 times a week. I've tried 5 times and you just kind of get burnt out really fast. You're not going to change the world with 1 post a week, unfortunately. But I do think if you're just starting, then that's fine. Give it a go. But you're going to find you need to start to ramp it up just to like 2 times and then 3 times. A really easy one, behind the scenes on a shoot, tag your customer in it. That's always like super simple. Avoid sharing your show reel. No one cares. And
talk to me more about that, because there's some people that really value show reels and they spend lots of time on it. What are your thoughts?
The only people that really value a show reel is the person who's making it. Otherwise, no one really cares. We don't have a show reel. I think they're a waste of time. I think you're better off creating content that hits pain points for the industry or target market that you're trying to work with.
Yeah, okay. That's a hard-hitting take.
I stand by it, man. Like, honestly, I could not think of a bigger waste of time than if we were trying to cut a new show reel. Like, unless, if you're trying to work with marketing agencies and creative agencies, then I actually could see where that would be useful, because they do want to see like the quality of your work. Whereas if you're trying to work with like an end customer, so for us, like a transport business, they just want to know, hey, is this video that we're going to spend 5, 10, 20K on, is this actually going to solve the problem, or is it just going to look pretty?
Yeah, good point. You just mentioned price ranges for projects. What typical price range do you find yourself working with at Lift Productions?
Yeah, anywhere between 5 and 20K for maybe a series of videos or whatever it is. It just depends on the outcomes that we're going for, and then what kind of work needs to go into that, how much time needs to go into that. For example, with recruitment, I really love doing recruitment content because it's a really clear ROI, like for the customer. Sometimes when you're trying to create a marketing video, it can kind of be hard to go, yeah, well, if you create this marketing video, you're going to get like brand awareness. And it's kind of like, what does that really mean? Do you know what I mean? It's really intangible. And it is important that companies use video for their marketing and brand awareness, but it can be a little bit of a harder sell. Whereas I find it a lot easier to sell things like recruitment, where I've got clear metrics and results and records of like, hey, X company used this and they actually doubled the amount of truck drivers that came through the door the next year. And we've like seen the data on that. So that's a much easier sell than a marketing video. Sometimes can be a bit trickier, like a big brand story. Still a place for it, definitely. But yeah, for me, focusing on results that we've got and like case studies of how we've really helped just lets us sell easier, I guess.
Yeah, great. And where do these videos end up landing? Are they on social media? Are they on YouTube, on the company's websites?
Yeah, so let's take a recruitment package, for example, and we do have like recruitment packages specifically. That'll go onto things like Seek, for example, but it'll also have like shorter versions that might have paid spend behind them. And then like an applicant might click on that, goes to a landing page with more about the role and has like a longer piece. Maybe it's like employee testimonials. Maybe it's like some fun reels. Someone walking around the office with a phone going, hey, what do you do for a living? And that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, great. And looking forward into the future, where do you see yourself, Grant?
So essentially the goal for us this year, and I guess for me personally, I like to set like an annual mission for the year. I don't really think that far ahead, like 3-5 years, because I kind of feel like in 5 years' time, what I want and where I want to go is probably going to be completely different to what I think now.
Because we change.
We changed. Like 5 years ago, I would never imagine that I'm sitting here in this amazing studio setup talking about how I've grown a business to like 4 people, right? So for me, it's an annual mission. And like our annual mission for this year is essentially to sign up 5 new customers to our transport content service agreement, because we believe that the transport and logistics space deserves amazing video marketing content.
You just mentioned you wanted to sign 5 clients. How many clients do you already have signed?
So on this particular offer, I haven't signed any. This is my goal for this year. It's still a new sort of thing for us. I've had other retainers in the past that have sort of worked, but this is a new offer. We're still building it. We're still launching it. It's probably been 2 months in. So, we're getting there.
Yeah. And how did you land on 5?
Just kind of picked a number and went for it, mate.
Why not 10?
5
10's a nice round number.
It is, but the amount of content that we've got in these, I was like looking at our capacity as well. And I was like, I think we could probably handle a max of 5 if we can get those across the line. And I really believe that if we can get some customers on board, it's actually going to make a huge impact on their business. And like full transparency, it's still just a matter of tweaking, testing. Business to me is literally just constant testing and improving and trialing and seeing what sticks and what doesn't. Like I've made tons of mistakes. I've made tons of wrong. That's a whole episode. That's like a whole series on the mistakes I've made. But, you can put a foot wrong and then go, that's not working. We need to pivot. And I'm a big believer in moving fast, taking rapid, imperfect action, and just like identifying, hey, this isn't working. Okay, cool. What's our next step? We might need to change.
And you did mention earlier about doing a series of videos for a client. How does that look? Is that you going in and shooting with a client for 1 full day, and then at the end of that day, you've got X amount of deliverables and it's multiple videos? Talk me through that process.
Yeah, so a series, it could be like, hey, We're doing a recruitment campaign for a customer. They want to recruit in a bunch of different streams across their business. So it might be like truck drivers, might be someone in IT, warehousing, operations, commercial or finance, whatever it is. So over a series of different days, we'll go out to different sites across Australia and interview key people or employees. We call them like champions. They're the employees to a business that, stand out. They're great speakers. We get them on camera and we chat and we try to make it fun. And like, we might show a few outtakes in the final video, or them, like, clients love it when like people are doing the clapper thing. They just love it. So we put all that kind of stuff in there, make these videos fun, not too like serious corporate, come work with us, but just like showing a bit of the serious side, a bit of the fun side.
Yeah, I always get kind of weirded out when I see the clapper because I went to university, I know what the clapper's there for. It's to sync sound and to have a slate and all that. I'm like, oh, we don't need that. But you just mentioning that, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
We just have the clapper just so the customer can have fun.
Yeah.
That is all. Because when I go on a set, I just want the customer to be having a great time, because often you find that their jobs they're behind the desk all day. They're doing a lot of the same sort of stuff. So when they get out on set with us, I want them to have fun. And the best way to do that is go, hey, why don't you get in front of the camera, do the little clapper, have a great time. We film it, we send it to them. Sometimes we'll send them a blooper reel, whatever it is. But my real mission now when I'm on a set is to make sure our customer's having a great time.
Great. Well, that was an excellent example you just gave. Do you have any more examples on making that client experience something that really stands out?
I mean, getting the fundamentals right, like getting there on time and not like arriving, rushed, sweaty, stressed out. So I like to get to a shoot like half an hour before, find a coffee, relax, whatever it is. Making decisions when you're on a set and then like just sticking with it rather than going, oh, what do you think we should do? Like just make the call and then just like find a way to make it work. Even if you kind of go, maybe that wasn't the right call. Whatever it is, just like find a way to make it work and try to keep the day going as smoothly as possible for the customer.
Yeah, I think you brought up a really good point just there. It's just like, what do you think? Like there was a joke at uni when I was studying. How do you know someone's a first-time director? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
But you've got to be there and you've got to have a plan and you've got to know what you're doing because you're the expert. Isn't that right?
100%. So they're relying on you to essentially make those decisions. So you just need to just do it for better or worse. And realistically, you're probably not going to make that bad a call. Like it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. The customer's not really going to know the difference as long as they don't feel like they were stressed out. All they're going to remember is, yep, the shoot went well. So-and-so was great to work with. We'll get them back again.
Yeah, and then they refer you on to someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. And to wrap up today's episode, Grant, have you got any words of wisdom for the audience?
I think so. I wouldn't consider myself wise, but one of my biggest philosophies is taking rapid, imperfect action, or done is better than perfect. So for me, and look, this really applies for your own marketing content, I think, and just making decisions in general, but just move fast, test it, tweak it, and do it again.
Excellent. Oh, thank you very much, Grant, for joining us today on the Your Story Studios podcast.
To be here.